Alright. The name is Dale doing the new album review of Benny the Butcher, Burden of Proof. This album review is done on behalf of Audio Liquor Magazine. Later doing this review than I intended. I actually wanted to do it early last week, but I had to get 4 of my wisdom tooth taken out, which is some painful shit. I didn't even want to talk, let alone do a review. So I'm doing it now, and it probably won't go online till I'm guessing late next week, whatever that date is. So I actually didn't hear of Benny the Butcher until I heard the Griselda album, the CD joint that came out late last year, 2019. And without realizing it, I actually heard them previous to that feature on other people's joints, but didn't even realize it till after the fact. So I was so impressed with him on that Griselda album, and I felt he was the best. Don't get me wrong, Conway the Machine is nice, but I thought he was the best out of all 3 of them. And I said, I gotta go back and get his old material. So I went back and got the plugs I met, and that was a very good solid project. And this guy has been putting in a lot of work unknown to me. He has he has a gang of mixtapes, probably 9 solo mixtapes since 2014, 2004. It even goes way back to 2004. He might even have more mixtapes than 9, probably double that, and 8 collabo mix tapes. Then it has 5 other solo projects that you maybe can consider albums, not official studio albums, but the lines get blurred. It's hard to tell which is which nowadays. And for this joint, he got Hit Boy doing all the production. And I was talking to one of my folks, Tony AG, and he was saying to me, this is just more proof that Nas doesn't know how to pick good beats. Because Hit Boy did all the production on the new Nas King's Disease album, and from what he was saying, the production was much better on Benny the Butcher's Burden of Proof than Nas King's Disease. So even though I never bought into that theory or belief that Nas is bad at picking beats, I did have to say he had a point, because the beats are stronger on the Benny the Butcher joint than Nas joint. But for me, the problem with Nas is not more so the beats, it's not the beats, but more so the features. I felt the features didn't fit and didn't work for his album. But I digress. So I'm gonna get into some detailed, you could say, reviews of the songs. The first joint is called Burden of Proof. It's a banger. Nice way to start off the album. Some hustling shit. At the end, pain in the ass. Who's at the end of this song? He, if you don't recall him, he was on the early Jay-Z album. He would come in, at the end and talk some shit. He would say, okay, I'm reloaded. And he does the same thing for Benny on this joint at the end of Burden of Proof, the actual song Burden of Proof. And you got another track called Where Would I Go, featuring Rick Ross. Ugly Face music. I love the sample singing. This is a very strong song. Then you got another joint called Sly Green. Nasty production. He has a line where he says, only rapper that would have thrived in the Tupac era. I thought that was a nice line. Then you got another track called One Way Flight, featuring Freddie Gibbs, Gangsta Gibbs. I dig the sample singing that they used throughout the song, and I dig the use of the breakbeat for the drums. That was very surprising. You don't hear too many of the newer artists using breakbeats, so that was refreshing, and I dig that. Ugly Face music. I really like the production. Some hustler player shit. You got Freddie Gibbs with lines like check our credentials, hoes get fucked, and sent home early, just like the Clippers. I thought that made me laugh. That made me smile. If you follow the NBA, you know the Clippers got outed out the playoffs quicker than anybody thought they would. So that was a clever line. I like that shit. You got another track called Famous. I dig the beat. I believe it's the same sample that AZ used on a joint he did back in like the 2000s. And you got another joint called Timeless featuring Lil Wayne and Big Sean. The production is nasty, some hard. It has a hard like West Coast sounding feel to it. Everyone kills it, but especially Big Sean. He really shine on this joint. I like what he was saying on it. But all three of them go in. You got another track called New Streets, Dig It. I believe it's the same sample that Joel Ortiz used on his first album. I forgot the name of the song that was on his first album. He used the same sample. But I like the way Hit Boy freaked it. Then you got another track called Trade It All. Introspective joint, some mood music. You know, he's really talking about, you know, family, friends, reflecting, that type of shit. Then you got another track called War Paint featuring Westside Gun and Conway the Machine. Hard hitting street shit. Bragging rights. Conway has a line like saying, I sell the shit raw. I don't step on crack because I'm superstitious or some shit like that. I thought it was a funny, clever line. And you have the mad rapper at the end of the joint, D-Dot. You know, he used to be on the Biggie joints back in the day. And he was taking shots at Benny the Butcher and Griselda in general. He was like, Griselda sound like a mariachi band. And he said Benny the Butcher. Shit sound like a wrestling name, and then he started doing a wrestling announcement. The shit was funny. It made me laugh out loud, and it's refreshing. You usually don't see street type of rappers making fun of themselves. You know, De La Soul and Lil Brother used to do that back in the day, have skits where they making fun of themselves, but you rarely hear like, you know, the hardcore street dudes making fun of themselves on skits on their album. So that was refreshing, and I liked that. That was a good ass idea. He say some other shit on it that's funny, but I can't recall all of it. But they were the two funny shots that stood out. And you got the last track called Legend. I believe we got a video for this, but I haven't seen it. It's a nice joint, you know, nice way to end the album. Benny the Butcher got some good lines. You know, he said something like, my team got the will strong enough to beat cancer. Then he got another line like, I'm like Ali, I fight better off the ropes. You know, shit like that. So man, this is a very strong album. It was only 2 songs that I was like, Like he got a song called Over the Limit featuring Dom Kennedy, which was just okay. It was just okay. I tend to skip it, but it's not a bad song. It just doesn't hold up to the rest of the tracks on the joint to me. And then you got another track called Thank God I Made It, which I like everything about it. The lyrics are strong. I like what he's talking about. The production is nice, but I don't like the singing from this chick called Queen Naija, I believe that's her name. I can't get with her voice and style of singing on the joint. It doesn't work for me. So that song, it's like every now and then I'll listen to it. Sometimes I'll skip it. So overall, this is a very strong album. I'm kind of glad that I waited to do this review, or had to wait to do this review, because when I initially listened to it, like for the first few times, I thought it was like a B+. But the more and more I listen to it, I'm like, oh man, this is better than I thought. So I'm going to bump it up to an A-. It might even be an A, but I'm gonna give it an A-. I highly recommend it if you don't have it downloaded on your phone or whatever you listen to music on. I'm not fully recovered from them pulling my wisdom tooth, so might sound a little off. And I don't feel like doing this review over again, so you have to take it as it is. But I'm done, I'm finished. Get that Benny the Butcher joint, Burden of Proof. The best joint out the Griselda clique so far that I've heard, group or solo, that I've heard so far. And hopefully they can continue making good music. This makes me want to go listen to the new West Side Gun album he just dropped, Who Made the Sunshine, whatever's the title of the joint. I really didn't care for his Pray for Paris album, but he got some interesting features on his new joint. I think he got like Slick Rick featured on 2 different songs, which was very surprising. It was shocking, but a pleasant surprise. So I'm gonna go check that album out. Anyway, I'm done. I'm finished. There you have it.